Okay, hey, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about some Utah law topics, which are really cool and really important because you want to pass the exam and we want you to pass the exam the first time. And so we're hosting these little programs. They are recorded. There are a number of them. We do them every Tuesday, every other Tuesday. And there's a lot of them out there that you can really make some use of because we go over some test questions and things and topics that we know because of our vast experience in real estate education that there's something you might see someday when you're facing a computer with your eyes open big like this and saying to
Vanny, you
yourself,
can sit in my chair. I'm going to go eat upstairs so I can listen to
okay,
Susan's
but mute before you go.
early.
Not.
Okay. So we want you to pass the first time, and that's why we're doing these little programs. They are recorded, and you can use them like reviews. They're about an hour in length, and we go through questions, usually about 15 to 16, 18 questions. And you're welcome to ask any questions you like. So, chime in at any time. Doesn't necessarily have to be on this topic. I'm Rick Roller, and I am your game show host tonight as we go through these topics. And I've been in the real estate industry since, well, a little over 40 years in real estate education, started in 1980, helping people get through the test and helping people to be productive as they enter this fabulous profession. And tonight, our producer and the host with the most is Dan Naylor, president and owner of the school that you're all attending, the Institute of Real Estate Education, which has one of the finest representation, if not the finest not representation, reputation in the state of Utah. Okay, so you're clear that you can call or just unmute at any time and chime in and ask a question or ask for clarification. You may have downloaded the PDF or you may not have. It's okay if you have not. Go ahead and let's have our first question, Dan.
All right.
First question, please. Okay. All right. Kay is holding an open house on a cul-de-sac, and they want to put up a sign on the corner of the street to direct people to the open house. Well, which is true? A, they cannot place signs anywhere except on the open house property. B, they must notify the owner of the house every location where they plan to put up a sign. C, they must compensate any property owner where a sign is placed. Or D, they must get permission from any property owner where they want to put up a directional or they want to put up a sign. Well, out of these, what you do in a multiple choice exam is you eliminate one or two, and then you got a 50-50 chance. So looking at these, A sounds a little restrictive, doesn't it? And you've probably seen open houses where they have directionals placed on major streets pointing open house back this way. So we can probably eliminate A pretty easily. B says they must notify the owner of the house every location where they plan to put a sign. That's pretty good. C says they must compensate, like pay. And you can probably throw that one out. So it's either D or B, guys. And of these two, D is the correct answer. They must get permission from any property owner where they want to put up a sign. Does it have to be written? No, not for a directional. And sometimes agents think that, well, because I'm putting it into the parking strip, which is really not technically owned by that property owner that the sign is in front of, they don't really have to ask for permission, but you really ought to. I mean, it's if you're putting it on their property, you most definitely want to, because it's the proper thing to do and it's the right thing to do, and it's probably it could get you in trouble if you don't. But if you're putting it on public property or just parking strip, you still want to go talk to them and show them the sign and show how it has an arrow and show that that people won't get confused that it's their house. It's down the road and you'll have balloons up and that kind of thing. But you need to do it anyway because you need to promote yourself to the neighbors. You want to let them know you're working their area, and then you want to ask them, you know, if they're thinking about selling in the near future as well. Guys, you got to be in the hunt. Every listing you get needs to get you another listing. And the way you do that is by working the houses around your current listings. And the National Association of Realtors has studied this for years. And they have found that within about 14 to 17 weeks of a sign popping up in a yard, a for sale sign popping up in a yard, somebody else within the 50 or 75 homes that are contiguous to that one is going to put up their house for sale too. And so, and you want that listing too. I mean, you're already working the area. Okay. So a little practical tip thrown in there as well. So the correct answer is D. Next question, please. Jay's a real estate agent is representing a buyer, P. They're submitting an offer to seller, M, who was represented by agent Q. Wow. Okay. That's alphabet soup. To whom must J disclose that he is P's agent? Let me see. A, only P, their client. B, only M, the seller. C, only Q, the seller's agent. You know, when you restrict something that severely, like only this and only that, I don't know if that's the best answer. Well, in this case, of course it's not, because the best answer is D, P, Q, and M. In other words, you've got to let everyone know that you are the agent for this particular buyer. And why would you not let them know? I mean, why else would they even be talking to you? So anyway, you got to let everyone know. You know, now do you have to get, like, you know, receipts or something that, well, I told you it was us? Not really, because when you fill out that purchase contract, there's a paragraph 5 in there, and in that paragraph 5, it has your name and everybody else's name, your broker's name, company's name, and whom everyone is representing. But when you see only, and then there's one that's broad and has everybody, that's that, especially on a disclosure type item. That's a good way to go. Hey, if the test is that easy, you're going to be fine, aren't you? Okay, next question, please. And remember to chime in with the question or comment if you want to. Okay, a double contract, A, is used to represent two clients. Double your trouble, double your fun. B, hides information from the lender. C, is common practice. D, protects the lender. What do you think, guys? Who wants to take a chance? Come on, unmute and tell me which one you think it is. Oh, come on, this is an easy one. The clock is ticking. Come on, unmute, yell it out.
I say
Wrong. Pretty good. It had double and there's 2 there. But when you hear that, but don't feel bad, because you know, that was a good, you know, logical tie. But a double contract is a real nasty thing. It's a real no-no. It's one of those things you don't ever want to do, and it's not common practice. You know, it's not, because you're going to get your license revoked, and it certainly doesn't protect the lender. The whole idea is to deceive the lender. It hides information from the lender, which is B, the correct answer. A double contract is where you have 2 contracts. One you show the lender with a higher price, let's say $400,000, and then another one that's the true price, which is like $350,000 or something. And then you're trying to get a $350,000 loan from that lender. He thinks you're paying $400,000 for the house, and you're giving him, you know, gold bullion to the seller, or an antique car, or, you know, something else that had value but can't really be substantiated or proven. And so the lender go ahead and lends $350,000, but that was the real purchase price. And it's an attempt by a buyer to deceive a lender into giving a higher loan to value ratio than they would normally do, because there's 2 contracts, a hidden one, which is the real one, and the one that they actually reveal to the lender. Obviously, it's loan fraud, it's deception. All loan fraud begins with a lie. And if you have to lie to get something on a loan, you're probably, you know, going to be clipped someday down the road for loan fraud. Don't want to do that. Okay, let's go to the next question, please. Must his licensee include when advertising properties listed by the broker? What must be in that ad? This is an easy one. In fact, if you don't do this, it's called a blind ad, and it's a big no-no. I mean, a division, it used to be a $50 fine. Now I see $500 fines all the time, sometimes even higher if you do a lot of these. But the correct answer is A, the name of the brokerage. Okay. And the principal broker's name, well, if the principal broker isn't using a DBA, if the principal broker only had his name and then all the licensees were just under that lady or that man, it's highly unusual. Usually most principal brokers want to have a brokerage name in addition to everything else. So that's not the best answer there. An associate broker's name, oh heavens no, and your name, no. It's got to have the brokerage name on it. So if it's Hot Dog Realtors, it better say Hot Dog Realtors, and whatever type of advertising you're doing. I don't care if it's electronic, like a website. I don't care if it's a YouTube video, that you're sending out showing the interior of the home and how wonderful it is. It's got to have the brokerage name in there, or it's a blind ad. Or if it's just an ad, a text ad somewhere or a sign, occasionally you'll see a sign on a home that's sitting on a bluff or a hill, and on the back of the house is facing out from the hill, and they'll put a banner sign in, this house for sale, and if it's got your phone number on it, or even if it doesn't, you dang well better have your company name on that sign. Utah used to have some rules about how big that company name used to be, but those have all been thrown away now. So as long as it's legible, it can be rather small, but it has to be legible. And but man, it's got to be there. And if it's not there, you're guilty of a blind ad. And I don't care if it's a flyer about the house, that you have there. It's got to identify the broker. All those things can be blind ads. So you have to be very, very careful.
I have a question about that.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So you see a lot of people trying to sell houses on Facebook and different things like that. And
right.
So in their writing, is that where they would put the brokerage name, like when they're writing?
They can, but if it's like a Facebook video or something, or even if it's just still pictures of the house, why not put it on, just put it on the screen?
Okay.
This house marketed by Hot Dog Realtors.
So is there a course or something that talks about doing a lot of the digital stuff? Because I know that a lot of it's turning to digital. Anyways.
Yeah, there's education for digital marketing out there. It's really a big thing in our industry. And if you are computer savvy, it's going to be greatly to your advantage. Okay, because it's the way everyone's communicating with each other. There are lots of deals that are going together now where they're getting a contract, an offer sent out, subject to physical inspection. I mean, it's so. And what I'm saying is the deal goes quite a ways down the road before people even meet up or even see the house. And in some cases, they never see the house. They just do virtual tours and whatnot. But that's very rare.
So are those courses that you guys offer or the state offers for the continuing education?
When you get involved with the industry, you're going to find many educational opportunities. As far as our school goes, we do have some practical education that's available. Mostly we are geared at getting you through the exam and keeping you licensed and getting you CE credit. But some of our CE credit classes do have quite a bit of practicality in it. Just like I illustrated a moment ago when I told you to talk to the neighbors when you got a listing. Those little gems will sprinkle through the course just to make it a little bit more interesting for you. And also I know that you have two great fears. One is, I don't want to embarrass myself and not pass that stupid exam. But the second fear is, what the heck am I going to do to make a living in this business? And so those are, great concerns I know that all new students have. And we have, there's a lot of different places where you can get that type of training. The Board of Realtors has some great training, and there's all kinds of associations and private entities. And, you know, Dan and I even have, you know, some song and dance stuff we put together to help you. Yeah.
We do have a continuing education class called Internet Advertising Secrets. And that goes over the advertising laws that we're going over in this course here. But then it also talks a little bit about how to leverage Facebook, how to leverage YouTube, and how to kind of take advantage of those things to market yourself.
Yeah. See, I gave you a big opening there, Dan. So I'm glad you took it.
What was that called again?
The continuing education class is called Internet Advertising Secrets.
Thank you.
Internet Advertising Secrets. Woo! You don't want to miss that one. Yeah, that's really great. The more savvy you can get with using computers, the better chance you're going to have of, you know, hitting that top 10% of agents in the market. Okay. It's just the way, you know, most of your buyers and most of your sellers are going to come to you by some sort of electronic media, you know, and you can still do the old fashioned way, like talk to the neighbors, which is great. Send out postcards, things like that. But you need to have a good grip on technology, you know, so it just works best that way. Okay. Okay. We're talking about the next question, which is the commission rate on a real estate transaction is A, set by division rules. We have a state mandated commission. What do you think about that one, team? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Here's a hint. Thumbs down. Okay. Are determined by company policy and cannot be changed. C, cannot be changed by the clients. Or D, can always be negotiated. Commissions are always negotiable. D is the correct answer there. They're always negotiable. Okay. Now your brokers may set some rules, you know, but you know, the last part of that answer B there, it says, and cannot be changed. You know, that doesn't work. You know, commissions are always negotiable. Okay. Next question, please. Agent L wants to encourage their client to list with them. So they draft a listing agreement that says that the seller will get their asking price for the home, and any money over that asking price goes to the agent. Ooh, which is true? A, the agent must give half the revenue to their broker. B, this is illegal. C, the agent must get written permission from the client. And D, the client must meet the broker before signing. The correct answer to this one is B, folks. This is called a net listing, and they are legal in most states. I don't know of any state. Dan, do you know of any state that allows a net listing? I don't know of any state that does.
I'm not sure which ones do, but I believe it is still technically illegal in some states. I'd have to look up which ones.
Yeah.
But not
the
Utah.
reason why it's not used and is illegal in Utah is because it's a conflict in your fiduciary. You're supposed to give your best efforts and you know, to your sellers, or if you're listing buyers and buyers are paying you, the same thing from to your buyers. But if we have to present all offers, and if you know in your heart of hearts that this property is worth $500,000 all day long, but the seller inherited it, and you said, well, you know, I think I can get you 400 net. You know, and the guy says, oh, that's great. And whatever you get over that, you know, you can keep for yourself. If you can get me 400 grand, that's great. Well, you know, you're pretty hot to sell it because you're going to make $100,000 commission. That's like a 20% commission on a $500,000 house. That's pretty dang good. But you're going to find yourself without a license. You know, it's illegal. It puts you at odds. So all the commissions that you know, are negotiable, but when you come up with whatever you agree with your buyer or seller, and normally it's the seller, then you know, it has to be specified in writing in an agreement. Okay, but this could be written in an agreement, but it's illegal. You can't do that. Okay, so don't do that. It's called a net listing. Net listings are what? Illegal. Oh, yeah, that's it. All right. Okay. Next question, please. Client wants to give a tip to their agent. They just love their agent. They did such a fantastic job. They want to give their agent a tip. So They have their agent come over and they give them some banana bread, but there's also an envelope with that. And in that envelope is $500 in cash. So what is true? A, the agent need not notify their broker. B, the agent must give the money to their broker. C, the agent must give half the money to their broker. And D, the agent must apply the money towards their broker's license. Oh, that's a good idea. You put a little fund that you put aside. Correct answer here is B. You've got to run to your broker, and you can eat the banana bread, but you got to go to your broker and you can say, look, hey, guess what? The Smithers love me so much, they gave me this $500 bonus. And your broker says, oh, great. You're on an 80-20 split. So you keep 400 and I get 100. Okay. Or they may give it all to you. I don't know, but you got to run it by your broker. Do you insult them and say, oh, no, I can't accept this? I don't know. Better get take your temperature. No, bonuses are fine if someone wants to pay you a bonus, but all commissions have to be run through your broker, and the broker you were licensed with at the time you put the deal together. I'm just looking at my background here. If you're wondering what that poster is right up over there, that was my granddaughter who won Miss Bluffdale a couple of years ago. I had to put that in a frame. Okay, anyway, moving along here. S is a real estate broker, receives referrals from his friend who is not licensed every single month. He's always careful to only give a gift of $100 each time. But which is true? Now, there's a trick in this question. I suggest that when you're working these, you read each question twice before you look at the answers. Because if you read this twice, and it's even kind of awkward, it says that, let me see, receives referral from his friend who's not licensed every month. Wow, that's a great referral source, but it's a regular thing. You see, the problem is that we have a rule that says that you can give a gift to an unlicensed person for giving you a referral as long as it's unsolicited. So when this is kind of a regular thing and you're giving them $100 every time, that might look like it's a solicited referral. Now, what they define solicited referral as, you have a regular deal with them, which says every time you give them a referral, I'll give you $100. Okay, so or you're advertising, hey, give me a referral, I'll give you $100. That's soliciting a referral. And so what the correct answer here is B. You're not following the rules, because continual referrals for money are considered solicited. Now, if you have a person like this that just absolutely loves you, maybe they're your mother, and she wants you to be successful in the business. So she's always, promoting you to all her friends, and she has a wide network of friends. Anyway, I just wanted to mention, I have a broker friend of mine that just cashed a check for himself for $26,000 because of a referral from his mom. She knows a lot of wealthy people, and they have bridge parties and all kinds of other parties, and she's constantly promoting her son, and that's not the first one this year, and that's fine. She's your mom, okay, and it's great. And I don't think he gives her a gift. Maybe he does a real nice Christmas present. But so you want to treat a person that's giving you a lot of referrals well, but you got to be careful in how you do that. The rule today is that you can give them up to $250, but it can't be something that you put together in writing or anything like that. And if it's something that's happening a lot, I don't know, you might want to vary it a little bit, or maybe give them a gift card one time and, stay in a condo in Park City or something. You might want to change it up a little bit. Okay, a real estate agent G receives an unsolicited referral from his neighbor, and he gives the neighbor a gift of $500. Well, what's the problem with that? Well, it's too much money, right? Right? Right. A, G could have his license suspended. B, G is within division rules. No, it was too much. 500 is too much. There's a limit of 250. And C, G must get a receipt. Yeah, right. Get a receipt. Just more evidence that you violated the rule. And D, G must be a broker to give a gift over 150. Well, that sounds kind of good, but that's not true. Usually brokers aren't the ones giving out gifts. It's the agents who put all the deals together. Okay, so hey, highlight it. Yep. G could have his license suspended. Okay. Hey, these are all do's and don'ts. These are rules to live by in your real estate division. Okay. All righty. Next question, please. A client signs a listing agreement. Which is true? Signs a listing agreement. I love listing agreements. Which is true? A, the client represents the agent who represents the broker. The clients don't represent you. You represent them. B, the agent represents their broker, who actually owns the listing, who represents the client. Oh, that sounds warm and fuzzy. Hang on to that one. C, the broker represents the agent who represents the client. No. D, the agent represents the client who represents the broker. No. The correct answer obviously is B. The agent represents their broker. All listings are owned by your broker. So you go out and take a listing. Your clients may never meet the broker. You know, you'll do the whole transaction, put it all together, close it, whole 9 yards, and they never even met your broker. Not unusual, particularly in larger firms or even smaller firms. You know, the brokers don't go out and meet all their clients. I mean, when I was running my own company, I did. I'd drop by and say, "Oh, you're so lucky to have Julie working for you. She's absolutely one of my very best agents. She's fantastic. I just want to see your house and meet it and meet you guys. And if you ever have any questions, give me a call." But man, I'm just telling you, she's top notch. But most brokers don't do that. I guess most brokers have real work to do. I don't know. Anyway, next question, please. Okay, in a real estate auction, the principal broker must be the auctioneer, the one's actually calling the auction and talks real fast like all those guys. And, they got the mallet, the whole thing. No, it's not that. Supervise the actual sale of the real estate being auctioned, and that is true. That's the correct answer. C, assign a sales agent to represent each party. What, each bidder? No. Deliver the proceeds to the real estate commission. I know. Yeah, I don't know. No, the commissioners, well, I guess if your broker was on the commission, one of my last brokers was actually on the commission, and but I guess I was delivering it to one of the commissioners, but that's not the right answer. Okay. So, and this is kind of a thorn in a lot of brokers' minds who want to actually start an auction division. Years ago, I was helped building a company that actually had an auction division. We're doing pretty well. We're doing 1 or 2 properties a month, and usually white elephant type properties like round houses or, obscure office buildings that would have geodesic dome for a roof and, things like that. Just weird stuff. But if you could auction them off, that was great. But, even when Carl Malone left our area, and he had a beautiful home up in Federal Heights and the high avenues, Carl's house actually was sold by auction, and one of the benefits to him, of course, was he knew exactly the day his house was going to sell because it was an absolute auction. If you have something that's difficult to sell, it's just real expensive, or it's just difficult to sell, because it's a little oddball or white elephant-ish, then auctions are a great way to do it. But the problem we had with this company that we were building is that they had this silly rule at the division, and it's still there, it's still in place, that the principal broker has to be at that auction. The principal broker. Now he had an associate broker that was labeled the manager for the auction division, so he was kind of like a branch manager. But the division said, "No, Lynn, you have to be at every single auction." Let's okay, I don't have time for that, so he shut it down. It's too bad. But that's the rule. Okay. And I go into that in great detail because you're going to see it again sometime in the future. And you need to know that the principal broker must supervise the actual sale of the real estate being auctioned. Now, what's happened is a lot of these auction companies have actually either hired a broker on staff or they become a broker. And so it's kind of interesting. Because a lot of these auction companies are contacted directly by the property owner who knows they have a white elephant. Maybe they've had it listed a couple times with a couple different companies and they can't get it sold. So they figure, we'll auction it off. That's one way to get rid of it. So they contact the auction, and then he is a broker, or she is a broker. So that's kind of how, so they're there anyway. So that kind of works. But anyway, principal broker must be there. Okay. Next question, please. Okay. Regardless of where the closing takes place, who is responsible to ensure that the settlement statement is accurate and reflects the terms agreed to in the real estate purchase contract? Who is responsible for the accuracy of the settlement statements? Is it the title company, who probably prepared them, right? What about the lender, who had input to those as well? And they have a number of documents they want the purchaser to sign, for their new loan. No, it's the real estate broker. And the real estate broker is responsible for the accuracy of those settlements. So that answer is B, not the associate broker, not the office manager, and certainly not the real estate commission. Okay, it's the principal broker that are responsible. Now, so if your broker tells you you go to work for a broker and you have a nephew, that works at a particular title company in town, and you want to use that title company, and you go talk to your broker. Well, my nephew works over there at Hot Dog Title Company, and I want to use that title company. Your broker says, no, we don't use them. Then you need to comply with the rules, because the broker may have had a bad experience with them where they screwed up a closing and wouldn't stand good for it. And then the broker had to step up and correct a problem. I did a closing 2 months ago. Yeah, I had a closing 2 months ago where I showed up, and the title company had a little sign up that said that, well, because of COVID, unless you're actually signing the documents, you can't attend the closing. If you're an agent and you want to attend the closing, we'll Zoom you in. You can do it by Zoom or something. And I said, well, guys, I'm coming to the closing. I mean, if you can't alter, I'll wear a mask. If you can't alter your policy, then this is the last one we'll do here. And, if you insist on doing that, I want a copy of the settlement sheets, and I'll go into a separate room, or I'll just sit out in the parking lot. But, I need to attend electronically, and I need the settlement sheets. I review all settlement sheets prior to the closing, except in this deal, because it was put together at the very last minute. I mean, the ink wasn't even dry on the settlement sheets, or the toner wasn't even dry on the settlement sheets. And I found 2 mistakes right off the bat, and, I'm responsible for the accuracy of those settlement documents. So, you want to, so you guys are going to be agents, and one of the intelligent questions that you might want to ask in an interview, I was always impressed when people came in to interview who wanted to work for one of the firms I owned or managed, and they had intelligent questions. I really like that, and one of the intelligent questions might be, when we're getting to the point where we're going to have the settlement statements done for the closing, how do you want to do those? Do you want me to get them to you in advance so you can review them prior to the closing, or do you want to review them afterwards? Unfortunately, most brokers review them afterwards. I like to review all mine in advance, because over the years I've found many mistakes. How about you, Dan? Are you there, Dan?
It's I mean, there's always whenever you have a third party doing anything with the documents, it's always something you have to double check, because they don't have the same investment in the transaction.
Exactly.
So only the people who are really on top of it, like I'm representing my client, I'm invested in doing it the way they negotiated it. So I'm the one who's going to see those issues. That's why it's
In this
important.
particular transaction I'm referring to, it was a stupid mistake. I mean, well, anyway, I clearly identified in all the documents that this was a rented property, and the buyer was buying a rental. He was buying a property that had a tenant in place already in a house that they were renting from the owner, and it was all clear, and so the title company should have picked up there needs to be a rent proration and a transfer of the security deposit, which was identified in a memo that I sent to him, when I turned in the contract, but they missed it for some reason. They were just really busy. Right now, it's really a busy time. Not only is the market spun up like crazy and people are moving here like crazy and buying lots of properties, but interest rates have fallen, and anyone that's in a home that has a 4.5% interest rate probably ought to be refinancing. I mean, you can get interest rates, slightly less than 3 right now, and it's giveaway money. And so those are all closing through title companies. So the title companies are very, very busy. They're closing all these refis, and then they've got sales on top of that. So I think, when we get into busy markets like this, it's an excellent time to review those settlement statements. Now, when I started in the business, I was an agent in Colorado, and in Colorado, we had the right, and some brokers still do it, to close your own deals. In other words, the brokerage could close the deal. And so from day one, I had to sit down and write my own settlement sheets. And then the title companies figured, well, gosh, we can do that for you, and started charging escrow fees. And since the buyer and seller were paying their part of the escrow fees anyway, we decided just as soon let them do it, even though we're still responsible for it. The moral of that story is, I think it's important that you understand settlements and that you know how to spot a mistake. And the way to do that is, after every closing you have, take a moment and sit down with your broker and have them go through the settlement sheets with you. If they're not willing to do that, or they're too busy, I understand, then do it with the title company that did the settlement. Go in early and have your title company go through the sheets with you in advance before the closing, and they'll probably find the mistake. Oh my gosh, this is wrong. My assistant didn't do this right. And here, I got to fix this. I'll be right back. I'm glad we went over these. Or try to get them to take a moment with you after the settlement and go through them right then, or maybe a little bit later. I always like to schedule all my closings for about 11 o'clock, and then, usually, depending on if you're on the seller side or the buyer side, but the buyer side takes longer to close than the seller side, because the buyer's got to go through all the loan documents and disclosures and whatnot. But still, you should be able to get through most all of them in about, half hour, maybe 40 minutes max. And then everyone says goodbye and they all leave and whatnot. You hang around, and then the title company guy has to take you to lunch. That's how you glean off the land, get free food. But that'd be a good time to go over the settlement statements as well. Hey, why don't you take me to lunch and go through these settlement statements with you? So and after you've done 3 or 4 or 5 of them, you're going to get good at them. Okay. Look, don't get in this business unless you want to be a pro. And I mean, be a pro. You need to understand. You don't need to know everything before you do something. Okay. But once you're licensed, you're in here and you're doing this business and you're making $10,000, $20,000 commissions, for heaven's sakes, you need to become a pro. You need to learn everything you can. You need to be reading something all the time, going to extra classes. And man, if I ever catch one of you guys coming up and saying, hey, Roller, I don't need any more CE credit, I already got my 18 hours, you're going to get the stick. You need to take 30 or 40 hours of, just learn everything you can, as much as you can, jump into the deep end of the pool and learn everything you can about this business, folks. And you'll find that you're going to get smarter and smarter and smarter. And you'll have more confidence, and you'll be able to bless more lives and make more money. Bless lives, make money. It's my motto. Okay, the next one, regardless of where the, oh, we already did that one. Which of the following office tasks must an assistant have a license to perform? How about delivering lock boxes? You know, those little things that, you know, we use our phones, our smartphones to unlock them so we can get the keys to get in the house. That's a lock box. You know, can they take one out to the house and deliver it and actually put it on the door? You know, yeah, they can do that. Typing documents. I'm just trying to, you know, Dan, I haven't even seen a typewriter. I guess you're typing them into a computer. Okay, copying, distributing flyers. That's okay. Calling past clients for referrals. That's a no-no, okay? You can't get on the phone and call past clients unless you have a license, okay? Now, they could send out electronic survey, you know, like a survey monkey, you know, I mean, but they're not directly contacting clients. They're just sending them an email. You know, so there's some things you can do there. It's cool to have a licensed assistant because once they have a license, they can do anything you can do, you know, and it's very helpful. However, once they have their license, they fall, of course, they have the same umbilical cord connection to their broker as you do. And so you have to run compensation through them for any real estate activities they're doing through your broker to them. And of course, they have some responsibilities there too, but it's good to have a licensed assistant. You know, they can do a lot of things for you and answer questions and whatnot. Okay, a personal assistant to a broker decides to get their real estate license. And once they're licensed, they will only be able to accept payment for their real estate activities. Oops, I gave that one away. B, directly from their what? Broker. Now, there is a possibility that we have about 17% of the people in America right now are not paying their mortgage payments. And they're in something called forbearance, and that, and they're maybe they lost their job because of COVID. And but whether they did or not, they're not making their mortgage payments. So here's the deal. Okay, when this pandemic is over with, which will be fairly shortly, I believe, because they've got all kinds of new medications coming out, and pharmaceuticals are I mean, they're weeks away now. Okay. And boy, what I'd love to see things get back a little bit more normal. I don't even like wearing a mask. But anyway, the point is, they're going to take that forbearance off, and the lenders are going to say, okay, ante up, or we will re-amortize your loan, or we'll do this, or we'll do that. But if they don't have a job, if they haven't found a job yet, it's going to be difficult for them to do a lot of these things. And so they're going to need their seller house. Now, this is not like it was in 2008. In 2008, not only did we have a lot of foreclosures or people that really desperately needed to sell, but we also had a fall in market prices. What drives market price of real estate is supply and demand, and we have extremely short supply right now. So even if 17% of our houses, let's say if those statistics were good for Utah, which I don't believe they are, because our employment figures are actually fairly stable here. You can get jobs, I mean, unless it's in the restaurant business. But what happens is they'll get another job, they'll work out something with their lender, they'll keep their house. Some of them will have to sell, or they'll want to sell because they got a different job somewhere else, okay? And they'll list with you because as long as they bought that house 2 or 3 years ago, they still have equity in it, even though they haven't paid maybe, $20,000 in mortgage payments. They still have enough equity to pay that off and have some additional money besides. So it's not going to be like it was before, and it'll be very short-lived because the market will suck that inventory up in a matter of months. It'll be a tremendous opportunity for you to bless lives and make some money. So I wouldn't worry about that. But during that period of time, there's going to be an opportunity that banks are going to want a lot of what we call a broker price opinions. And I remember back in 08, 09, 010, running there, yeah, that there were a lot of agents that were making their living doing BPOs, and the banks would pay them $200-300 for every BPO they did. And they were paying them directly, which was a real no-no. Some of them even got clipped on that. You can't get compensation in our industry for something you did that required a license that's not paid through a broker. Everything, even the BPOs, the broker price opinions, have to be paid through your broker. So watch for BPOs, watch for any type of compensation. We already talked about that nice $500 bonus gift they wanted to give you. Everything has to be run through your broker, okay? Your broker may choose to not take a piece of that. That's totally up to your broker. Or you could define that, as part of your desire to go to work for that particular company. But everything has to come. You can't get a check unless it's through your broker. Now, I say that, but that there is in our state of Utah, a broker can authorize the title company to pay you directly. And that's a change in the rules that they made. But let's say it's a $20,000 commission and you're on an 80-20 split, okay? The broker gets $4,000 and you get, the rest. Okay, you get the 16 because you get 80 of the 20 and he got 20 of the 20. Okay, so the broker got 4 and you got 16. The broker could contact the title company and she could tell them, I want you to pay the agent directly, and the amount I want you to pay them is $16,000, and then I want the other $4,000 of the $20,000 commission to be paid to the brokerage. Okay, and that they do that through escrow instructions, and that was a good thing. And I would suggest you do that, because you get your money faster. The money doesn't have to go to the broker, and the broker turns around and pays you, assuming your broker is willing to do that, which most of them are. But the other thing that happened is we had the largest real estate company in the state of Utah. That when the bad times came, they couldn't adapt quickly enough, and they started losing money, and they started losing a lot of money. And the main reason was because they had too many brick and mortar facilities that, when the bad times came, in 08 and thereafter for a bit, we lost half our membership in the Salt Lake Board of Realtors. When I was on the board of directors, we dropped from 8,000 agents to 4, just a little over 4. Now today we built back up beyond the 8, because the market's good and people are making a lot of money. But good agents actually make more money in bad markets, because they need an agent who can actually get the job done. Today, you put something on the MLS and you have, well, I was looking at a house yesterday for some people who won't be in town till this weekend, and they want me to do some previewing for them. It's $1 million house up near the University of Utah, and been on the market 3 days. Called the agent to get it in, take a look at the house, and she got back to me and said, geez, Rick, I'm sorry, but we just put it under contract. Things are only lasting 2 or 3 days in the market right now. So it's when they have multiple offers on a lot of them. So it is that severe, so anyway, all compensation has to come through your broker. Okay. All compensation. Okay. Next question, please. Okay, R is buying a house as is. The seller's agent, L, walks them through the home for the final inspection. Now, when I say seller's agent, it's not the agent of the seller. It's the selling agent who's the agent of the buyer. So the seller's, no, it says seller's agent. Anyway, the seller's agent walks the buyers through the home for their final inspection. L notices that there is mold on the wall in the storage room, but they don't notice it. Oh, R is buying the house. Okay, so R is the buyer. The buyers don't notice it. Okay,
I think
but
C
the
should be
broker
the answer.
does. But the broker works for the seller, not the buyers. So what's the deal here? A, R is responsible for finding all issues regardless if the agent knows about them or not. That's the buyer. The buyer is responsible for finding all issues regardless if the agent knows about them or not. Now, anything the agent knows, they should be privy to. Okay. R should pick their own agent if they want someone to notify them of mold issues. Well, getting a buyer getting their own agent's not a bad idea, but it's not entirely necessary all the time.
C should be the answer.
C is the answer. That's correct. L must notify R of the mold they found, or they could be held liable. You see, even though R didn't see it, the seller's agent saw it, and even though they have a fiduciary to the seller, that doesn't prevent them from the responsibility or preclude them from the responsibility, exempt them from the responsibility of revealing all material facts. And mold is a material fact. You got to let them know if you saw it and found it. And D, L cannot disclose the mold because of their duty to the seller. No, you have to disclose all material facts. Okay. You don't have to be an expert, a property inspector, but if you notice something like mold, you better be revealing it. Okay. I suggest quite strongly that your buyers, your broker's probably going to make you give the buyer a form called of course they have to sign a buyer's agreement, but there's also a Stan, what's it called? It's the buyer's due diligence agreement. Okay, and it the buyer, it has all kinds of ideas that the buyer ought to look for when they're going through a house, and they sign it saying, these are things that I might want to take a look at. But I would suggest that you have all your buyers do a meth test and all your buyers do a radon test. Guys, they're inexpensive, and they can be done quite easily. And meth is a problem. It's a big problem. And if a house has been rented, or even if it's been occupied by the same people for years, they could have children that are involved with meth. Could be all kinds of problems there. Do a meth test and also do a radon test. There's two things that haven't been done. But, gosh, the one I sold a couple of years ago, it had both meth problems and radar problems when they came up. Okay. Why is a limited agent representing both buyer and seller on a transaction? Which fiduciary duties will they not be able to perform for their clients? You can be a limited agent. A limited agent needs to be fair and honest to both parties, but you can't do everything you're supposed to do in a normal fiduciary where you're only representing one person. And what are those duties that would be somewhat compromised if you were representing both? And well, obviously it's not care and good faith. You always have to do that for all parties. Skip to C, prudence and diligence, honesty, integrity. All those things are required, if you're representing just the buyer, or if you're representing just the seller, or if you're representing both the buyer and the seller. The thing that would be compromised a little bit is full disclosure and loyalty, because you have to be fair and honest to both parties. Which now, if you're only representing the buyer, anything you can find out about the seller or the seller's property that wouldn't necessarily be a material fact, but could be interesting for your buyer to know, like the seller is getting divorced and they need to separate the property right away, because they're at each other's throats. The most important thing is get separate. Or these people are starting a new job in Denver and they haven't had any offers and they're pretty desperate to get to Denver. Your loyalty and full disclosure would be to tell your buyer, whatever you can dig up. And however, if you're working for both parties, then you have to keep the seller's secret and the buyer's secret. As long as it has nothing to do with material facts. okay, which we already defined, okay? So those two duties would be a little bit compromised. But, you know, I have no problem doing limited agency, and you shouldn't either. In fact, every in-house sale where you work for Hot Dog Realtors and you're selling, you have a buyer and you sell one of the company listings, involves limited agency, because your broker goes limited and the listing agent is designated to work, you know, directly for the seller, and you are designated to work directly for the buyer. Agency is one of those things that is very, very important, that you got to understand the ins and outs and how it can change, and how you need to, you know, change with it if it changes during a transaction, how to do disclosures and how to get them documented, and when to disclose and how to get everything all documented. You've got to be really good at that, guys. So but you know, we have a new agent class, and it's a 12-hour new agent class, and you can take it online. I know many of you won't be leaving maybe your other job, and you're not available to come to a live class. We have an excellent online 12-hour new agent class that Dan Naylor actually does. It's very well done. But if you want to take a live class, you got to come take mine. You know, I recently did it for a crowd down in Iron County when they had their convention down there, and it's a 12-hour class, so it goes all one day, and then it's another 4 hours the next day. And a good time was had by all, because in my class I put a whole lot of emphasis on practicality, like I weaved in tonight, and how to actually do things and make money. And you know, so I'm pretty excited and proud of that. And you know, when I started in this business long ago, I was broke and a snot-nosed 20-something-year-old kid. And I had a young bride and a little baby and boy, and you know, they weren't working, and you know, obviously the boy wasn't, but neither was mom. And you know, she couldn't work. She had to take care of the kid, had to take care of our child. And so, but I didn't have any cash reserves or anything. I had to just jump in. I just had to do it, and I made it work. In fact, I made Rookie of the Year, and that was cool, you know. But what I'm more proud is I've developed hundreds of other agents that have won sales awards, and I've also developed 8 other Rookie of the Years. So, you know, I would suggest you come to my new agent class, and best of all, it's free. Okay, but it's hard to take right now because of COVID. All right, who can legally create a contract for the buyer and the seller to use? Who can legally create a contract? We don't create contracts. We fill in the blanks in pre-approved forms. Okay. Well, so who do you think can create contracts? Well, these guys that go to law school, they're called attorneys, right? Correct answer is attorneys. Not you, a real estate agent, not a broker, and not a loan officer. They don't have anything to do with that. They just work with loan documents and stuff. So attorneys can create contracts. In fact, a buyer could have an attorney design a contract for them. But most often where you'll see customized attorney created contracts are when you're working with builders. Because any new builder is going to have his own contract that greatly favors them and protects them, you know, in the sale of a brand new home. And he'll have one designed by an attorney. But you also see contracts that we use in commercial real estate all the time, you know, whether it's an existing building or a lease or whatever, that are all prepared by attorneys. So those are the people that can legally create a contract. You and I fill in the forms on fill in the blanks on pre-approved forms. We're not creating a contract, we're filling out a form. And which the division says is a limited practice of law, in which we're given because we have a real estate license. Okay, and another question: which contract can a real estate agent use for their client to purchase a home? Only the approved REPC? Most likely that's the one they'll use, you know, 98.9% of the time. But B is okay. Any contract drafted by an attorney or their client, which I just gave you an example of that with the new home builder. Only contracts drafted by their broker, oh heavens no. Only contracts drafted by the AG's office, oh heavens no. Okay, so Guys, that's our short review tonight. I hope it was helpful for you, and hope you enjoyed our practical tips as well. Like I said, we do these every other Tuesday, and they last just about an hour. We're right into this, an hour right on the nose. Thanks so much for being here. I want you to know that you can call my personal cell phone number. I answer it. And if you have any questions about what happened tonight or other questions about a topic, any topic, you're welcome to call. The number is 801-556-8000. That's 801-556-8000. Dan just threw it on the screen. I don't care what time it is. You know, if it's late at night and I'm asleep, the phone will be off. Don't worry about it. Here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to be cramming for the exam and you come on a topic and you knew what the answer was, but you can't quite remember it. You can't quite, and you get more and more frustrated and you're digging through the manual and you spent 45 minutes on this one stupid topic and you just can't find the answer, where you could have called me on a stupid telephone. Do not text. Old school, call on the telephone. And you say, Roller, this is so-and-so. I'm going to be taking the test tomorrow, you know, and I'm stuck. What's this all about? And we'll have a great 3-minute conversation on the phone and you'll understand it clearly. Okay? There's only one time when it's totally inappropriate to call, and that's during the exam itself. I know I could probably be the most help to you then, but that's going to get us both in a lot of trouble. Okay. And they take your phone away and lock it up anyway. But they didn't know about your other phone. Okay. Now they pat you down. Okay. Hey, thanks for being here tonight. I hope you had some fun and learned a couple of things. Please call if we can help. You know, you're in the best school in this state. This school keeps their information razor sharp, updated. Dan's a fantastic school master. So thanks for being here tonight, guys, and we'll see you out there.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Everyone, come and join us next in 2 weeks with your questions, and we'll go over our next topic. Thanks. Have a
Thank you,
great
Dan.
evening.